It's a great idea to stop worrying as much what others think about you. Stop stressing over these minor details in life and all the fear and anxiety that keeps us up at night. Most of it's meaningless. Almost all of it's meaningless. Because even if it's a stressful situation, nothing you can do laying up thinking about it or worrying about it at all hours of the day and night is going to do a thing. The better plan is to actually start trying to be the kind of person that you would want to be friends with. The husband or wife or parent or any kind of relationship. Think about the kind of person you would want to be around all the time and strive to be that person. It really isn't as difficult as we make it. The thing is, our identities are built around who we grow up with, who is in our lives that we can't change. Sometimes we might have good parents or bad parents. We might have siblings or whatever that just change completely who we are or how we think about ourselves. I know I had very low self-confidence most of my life. There were times in my life where I took a chance on doing things, like when I played football or, I lost 100 pounds twice in my life. And I did these things because I worried about what others think about me. And unfortunately, we're always going to worry what others think about us, at least to some extent. I wouldn't say worry. We're always going to care what others think about us. The reason for that is because it's literally in our blood. Our DNA tells us from hundreds of thousands of years of evolution that we have to rely on others. When we were cavemen or living in tribes, getting kicked out of the tribe was basically a death sentence. Unless you were, independent enough to actually be able to do things yourself, build your own house, find your own food, fix your own wounds up. All these things, one slip and one mistake and you're gone. So that's why we have this burning desire in us to change according to what others may perceive us as. But we don't have to conform like we did in the tribal days. There's easier ways to connect with people all over the world. There's the internet, there's all kinds of things what we can do to connect with people who we want to be around. That's the main thing we need to do. We need to start changing who we are associating with, who our friends are. I understand you can't change who your family is, but if they're toxic to the point where they're making you feel miserable all the time, then you do whatever you can to stay away from them until you can get away from them completely, or you find the strength in it to not let that affect you. And that has always been a difficult one for me too. I so much wanted to just be everyone's friend. I wanted everyone to like me. I figured out ways to just try to. It was an impossible task, but I thought that I could do it at some points in my life. I just tried so hard. I gave so much effort, and I enjoyed making people laugh. That was one thing I was always good at. It made me happy, but it also started to drain me when that's all I was to people. I was just basically the clown. I was the John Belushi in Animal House. I was just a party animal, and people liked being around me because I was always fun to be around, and that is not sustainable. It really isn't. Because you're always going to have some deeper sense of purpose that you need to seek in your life. Until we start seeking that purpose, then we until that point, even with low self-esteem, we're probably thinking we know better than everyone else. Just in the back of our mind, think about it. You think that you know better than everyone on most everything. If you have a little bit of knowledge about something, you think that you're more knowledgeable about it. You can do it better. I'm not saying we think we can go out and build, atomic bombs or something like that because we don't know anything about it. But I'm saying in most things that we do in life, we already have a little bit of interest in it. So we already are thinking, oh, we know this, why is this coach or teacher or whoever telling us what to do? We're smarter than them. And sometimes you are, but you can learn stuff from people that you're smarter than easily. There's a lot of people who are smarter than me who I always thought, oh, well, I know more than this person. This person just doesn't get it. And in some cases that's true, but you have to take what you can from everyone. You have to take lessons from even the people that are clearly not as smart or not as knowledgeable as you on things. Take lessons from them. Take lessons on what not to do sometimes. You take lessons from as many things as you can in life, and that's when you start building that knowledge base, and that knowledge with experience turns into wisdom. I can tell you, it's not going to make you happy to chase little bits of happiness in your life, little dopamine hits, doing drugs or just finding ways of escaping and just ignoring the real problems in your life. Those little things in life, they're not going to, in fact, they're going to make you less happy in the long run. Doing a hard drug or having an affair or whatever thing that you obviously should not be doing is going to make you miserable. It might not at first. Of course it feels great at first. If it didn't feel great at first, then we wouldn't keep doing it. And it's pretty obvious. And it's pretty obvious that temptation is the darkness trying to lure us in and trap us. Because once we are slave to that darkness, once we say, I have to have that drug, or I have to go and find people to hook up with, or whatever, once we are in that mindset, then the darkness knows that it's got you. It's the master, you're the slave. There's nothing it has to do anymore. It doesn't have to make you feel better anymore. It's going to start making you feel miserable when it knows you're going to keep doing it because you're going to be chasing that dopamine hit that we had in the beginning that made us feel good. And it's easiest for everyone gets sucked into those things. Everyone. And we're still going to, even after enlightenment or spiritual awakening or whatever you want to call it. We're always going to be chasing these things because we get tricked. Sometimes we don't know what is just making us feel good and it's actually bad, or we can't tell right from wrong anymore because our moral compass is just off, because we still think that we're smarter than everyone. And we think, oh, we just keep on doing the same thing and we'll keep getting that same result we did the first time, and no bad consequences will happen from it. And even if they do, they'll be worth it. We have to get out of that mindset. You have to work. You have to have patience. You have to build a relationship with yourself. Build it with God too, but even if you don't believe in God or haven't found him yet, build it with yourself, and not in a narcissistic way, in a way that you're soul searching, that you're trying to become the person that you want to be. Do you want to be a parent that just lets their kid sit on the computer all night and you barely see them, and when you do, it's just a little interaction like, oh, you could get on that pad or do whatever. No, we want to be parents who are showing unconditional love to our kids. Most of us do. I guess there's some that don't, but Most of us want to show that unconditional love to our kids so they can feel safe in the world. And if you were abused or something when you were a child, learn to get the lessons from that so you don't pass that on for another generation, because that's how it goes a lot of times. Abuse in any form, it doesn't have to be from your parents, it could have been from anyone, it could have been you were bullied as a child. That bitterness and that rage build up in you, and it just passes on to the next person because you start wanting, you think that's the norm then, and you start to think that you want everyone else to feel the same way you do. But you need to learn to be the person that you have so much fun around, that you are so happy with. And you know what? Then when you're alone, you're not scared of being alone anymore. You embrace it, because that is when you start building that relationship with God. Whether you know it or not, you're going to find God. If you're living a life of virtue, it comes in a different way. It comes in a sense that I'm already walking the path that God wants me to. I might not be doing everything the right way, but at least I'm doing the things I think I should be doing. But if you're living a life of misery and suffering and still thinking that you know better than everyone, that you're the wise old sage and you know best, then you're going to be humbled. You're going to be humbled. You're going to crash hard. I mean, you're going to be down on the ground, crying and screaming and just begging for redemption. And that's when God will find you. When you're at the very lowest, that's when God will find you. So try to live that virtuous life. Don't make it. We do so many things that we could easily change to just make our lives just less miserable. Why live in misery? There's no point for that. There are beautiful places outdoors all around you. You know, this is right near my house. There are beautiful places you can go see and just be relaxed and clear your mind in nature. There are things you can do. Go out and spend time with your kids or your husband or wife or whoever. Do these things and enjoy them. Don't just go through the motions like, oh yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm probably going to be miserable. Just sit there and pass the time until I can go do what I want. You know, whatever makes me feel good. I can go stuff my face with junk food all night, or come home and do some, drink until I can't see. Don't live your life for those, because those have already got you as their slave. Live your life for yourself. Be your own best friend, and you will start drawing people in. You will start drawing people who are miserable around you might start seeing the example that you're setting and start changing their lives for the better. It's a ripple effect. And that is the most amazing feeling you will ever have once you realize that you can affect such great change in this world. And it takes so little effort. I'm not saying it's easy. Addiction is very hard to break. That's going to be very hard. But you can do it by learning to value yourself. And if you are addicted, you're going to probably have to expedite that relationship with God, because that's really the only way that I've seen, and I'm sure there's plenty of others who have done it different ways, but pure willpower isn't usually going to work for addiction. You're going to have to power through that, and you're going to have a relationship with God, and you're going to have to ask Him for guidance. And unless you believe in something bigger than yourself, then your life is going to be pretty meaningless. So just do what you can to make yourself the person you want to be. I'll see you soon.